Hello, welcome back to Behind the Faders, the live sound channel. Today I want to talk about reference tracks, or the music that you use to EQ a PA system. But before we get started, may I ask you, if you haven't already, to hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the content of this channel, because still like 80% of the people watching my videos are not subscribed. And it's so easy to do, and it's really helpful for me. Thank you. Reference tracks. I think this is something that everybody does. Everybody listens to music to EQ a system. Even if you on tour with larger PA systems where you have a system engineer and he will measure the system to the desired frequency response that you want, but the last step is still listening to music. The only other method that I remember is back in the old days. Some people would EQ systems with just an SM58 and their voice. Quite successfully so, some of them. But the disadvantage of that method is, of course, you can't leave the mix position while you talk into a mic, unless you carry a radio mic for just that purpose. Then again, if we talk about the old days, there was not a lot to do to EQ a system. You had a four-way active crossover. Usually you had a graphic EQ, and that was it. And then you made it sound good at mix position, and you could walk around, but there was not a lot you could actually do about differences between the mix position and any other position in the room. Even near fills were not really a thing back then. So what kind of songs can you use to do this? Well, first of all, I think this is really obvious, but I'm still going to say it. This is not about enjoying some of your favorite music. These songs are a tool. So it's important that these songs sound great on a PA system, and they cover all the frequency range. I remember when, even before I became a sound engineer, when I started being a stagehand in maybe the mid-80s, the only song I can ever remember being played every time was Donald Fagen, The Nightfly. Everybody was using that song, and maybe every once in a while, maybe another song by Steely Dan or Donald Fagen. So that was the best production around. And I think it might work till today, although I haven't heard it for many years now. The thing is, why do we still use productions from the 80s or the 90s until today? Because back then music was produced to sound good on big speakers. It was produced for big, like, home stereo systems, which everybody had back then. I mean, the hi-fi tower would really dominate the living room, or big car systems, or whatever it was, but it was designed to sound good on kind of larger speakers. Whereas today, a lot of songs are produced to sound good on very small speakers, like on a smartphone or a laptop. And in order to achieve this result, they are very, very compressed and limited. So they give the impression of punch, but they don't really have any punch. So if you listen to one of these songs on a big PA, it's just a small, overcompressed thingy. You can't really use it. And you can hardly produce something that serves both masters. So that sounds great on your smartphone and also sounds great on a PA system. Having said that, I once, many years ago, I heard this Donald Fagen song, The Nightfly, on my little kitchen radio. And it sounded like nothing. It sounded really insignificant, nothing really. And but on the big PA system, it sounds fantastic. So you can hardly produce songs that work in both worlds. So how to use songs for EQing a system? Well, I know some people who have one song to work on the high end, they have one song to work on the high mids, they have one song to work on the low mids, and they have one song to work on the subs. There's nothing really wrong with that method if you're used to it, because, I mean, of course, the most important thing about these songs is you have to know them well. You have to get to know them very well over time. So it's important that you don't pick another song every 2 weeks. But if you need 4 songs to do this, it's fine. Of course, then it takes quite a while to do this, and you annoy everybody else, especially if you're on a tour. While you're doing this, a lot of departments can't really carry on working. They have to stop. That's why many times this time slot is put into the lunch break or something. But anyway, the less amount of time you need to EQ the system, the more grateful everybody else will be. But okay, if you've got into the habit of using full songs, that's okay. I personally prefer songs that cover the whole thing. And I'm going to tell you about the songs in a minute. However, I have one song. Oh, and by the way, of course, I'll leave a list of these songs in the description. I have one song that I use if I have like a folk duo or something. So like just two guitars and two vocals, very sparse. So I don't need any low end. And this song is it's also from the 80s, I believe. So a German singer-songwriter called Ulla Meinecke, and the name of the song is Die Tänzerin, the dancer. And this song only has a hi-hat in it. It has a very dynamic Fender Rhodes piano in it, which is great for testing out the dynamics of the system, and a voice. That's it. But it's a really great production, and it really serves well for that purpose. Another special song that I sometimes use if the opposite is the case. I have a very full signal from a lot of channels and I need a lot of strong bottom end. In that case, I'm going to use a song by the Infected Mushrooms, which is called In Front of Me. Actually, the first time I heard this song was at the Metallica tour, where Big Mick was using it, and Metallica, you probably know, Metallica has huge bottom end. So he was using that song for EQing the system, or listening to the system. So that's what I would use if I'm really dealing with a massive bottom end. But other than that, I have a couple of songs changed over the years. I know all of them really well, so I might use one or the other to taste really at times. But they all serve the purpose of being great tools for EQing, and I know them all very well. So here are the songs I mostly use. I use the song that already annoys everybody else by now, which is TOTO's I Will Remember. But it's just perfect. It has, in my mind, it has a little nose around 1.2K or so. But I hate that frequency anyway, so maybe it's just me. Another song that works great is by Keb Mo, and it's called Slow Down. And this one is probably the newest song I use. That's from '98. For me, it has the same little nose, but it still works great. Then songs I used in the past. In the late 90s, early 2000s, everybody used Jennifer Warnes' The Hunter. Actually, almost any song out of that whole LP, all of them sound great. What also got used a lot back then was the Eagles. The record is called Hell Freezes Over and it has a live version of Hotel California with a huge kick drum. I mean, this also would be suitable for forming a nice sub. Although you have to keep in mind, no real kick drum will ever be as big and boomy as that one. Sometimes along the way I was using Sting songs. And I have one more special song, which is really good if you want to make sure you have very smooth hi-hats. So really get rid of any harshness. That song is called Porsche, and it's by Miles Davis. And that might be even newer than '98. I'm not really sure. But if you take that song and you can make that trumpet sound smooth and get all the harshness out of it, well, that's when you can be really, really sure you have very smooth hi-hats. That's already what I want to tell you this week. So if you have questions and comments, leave them in the comments. If you have a lot of questions, consider booking yourself a little coaching call. They start at 15 minutes. And again, please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It's so helpful for me and doesn't cost you anything. That's it for today. Bye-bye.